All right, thank you guys for tuning into another amazing episode that we got here at It's All the Game podcast. Today we're going to be reacting to the Trae Young trade, also the potential trade rumors behind Ja Morant potentially leaving the Memphis Grizzlies. We're going to get into a lot today. Stay tuned. Let's go. So, what are your thoughts on the Trae Young trade? Even though I've probably heard a decent amount of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the day of or the day before, I was sending you some ideas that I had because I'm always just sending you mock trades using this
Yes.
Votrack app. And I threw together a trade with Corey Kispert, with CJ McCollum, and the money worked, right? But I didn't think the Hawks were getting enough back. Like, if I'm the Hawks, I don't need that, right? So I threw in AJ Johnson, and I was like, okay, I'll balance it out with the Bub Carrington, which I know is a controversial one because the Wizards fans, they love Bub. I'm just like, if we're getting a good point guard in DC anyways, might as well give up the young guy as kind of like this is what you have to give up to get a all-star caliber player. And then I also dropped a couple picks in there. The Wizards have OKC's pick, which is like the least valuable first round pick there is. And you told me 2 picks is too much, so I was like, yeah, that's fine. I usually make it a little bit more generous just to have some wiggle room. But to have that news break and I see your "I told you so" text come through because you were totally valuing Trae Young less than me, and I saw that trade. I could not believe it. It felt like half the trade to me, at least.
Yeah. An
And
incomplete thought, to be
yeah,
real.
yeah.
That was my thought.
And so I'm not sure if it's really just we want to get rid of this contract because he does have a player option in the summer and it's a pretty big contract already. And CJ McCollum's is going to expire and it's a lesser contract anyways. Or they just wanted to be quick about it, or they didn't have a lot of options. Like, were other teams not offering as much? That sounds crazy to me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm stunned. I'm happy for the Wizards for having some kind of good luck. I know you've been talking about how the league kind of views him as a negative right now, Trae Young. And that I think really depends on what team you're talking about. Because if you're the Wizards, there aren't very many negatives
Yeah, right.
except for what they had before this trade, which was 2 34-year-olds taking up all the minutes when it should be going to the young guys, like I talked about last episode.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's good to get rid of one of them, especially the higher usage one, giving their guys a better chance to develop. But it's definitely a positive for the Wizards. Absolutely. With the amount that they didn't have to give up, it's 100% a positive. I understand Trae Young's defensive limitations. And my first thought is the Utah Jazz with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. And I remember a lot of what the discussion around that time was that Rudy Gobert was holding together this team defensively. They were very weak on the outside. Donovan Mitchell's not a great defender. He's a smaller guy playing the two. So when we have a weak defender like Trae Young, I'm very happy to see him paired up with a guy like Alex Sarr.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he needs. That's the absolute correct fit. You have a guy who's ascending as an offensive player, as a scorer in Alex Sarr. Having a playmaker like Trae Young is going to be huge in that development. Now, he's very young, and so they'll help each other out in that way. And I think that's a good balance of defensive on one side and a lot more playmaking and space on the other. So overall, great for the Wizards.
Now, here's a follow-up question to that too, right? Looking at the Trae Young trade, how does that affect all of the other, like, again, quote unquote negative assets, right? And again, if
Yeah.
you're a team like the Wizards, if you're a team like the Pelicans, maybe they're less negative assets than others. But for sure, how does that affect maybe potential mock trades with other star players like LaMelo Ball? We've seen Zion, we've seen Darius Garland. I'm not saying Darius Garland is a negative asset, but that's one of the ones we've seen is trade talk, and Ja Morant as well. Like, how does that? Because like I said, when we talked about it, it was Trae Young like a first. Like, we're giving up a first. We're giving up Bub potentially, CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert. But now, like, seeing like this is really what Trae Young is worth. Like, that's what they value Trae Young at. So how do you see them? How other trades may unfold given his new value, I guess.
Yeah, it also once again reminds me of Rudy Gobert in a way because
Oh my god, me
When
too.
that
In
when
the
that
car
trade
thinking of
happened,
that. Yeah.
yeah, in the Wolves trade, I remember everyone going, "Well, if you want a good player, you gotta give up all your picks for him now, you know, you have to give up
Like 5
so
firsts.
much." Right. So, I think it's almost like the market's fluctuating a bit in terms of how much how much these guys are worth and how much a draft pick is worth, and especially right now when we have a very highly anticipated draft class for 2026,
Yeah.
the value of those things are going up more than say 2024's draft class, you know.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I don't know, it's funky. So I'm looking at around the league. We have a lot of comparable guards that are on the trading block, like LaMelo, like Darius Garland, like Ja Morant, of course. Who I'm saying on the trading block, not that they're necessarily that their teams are looking to trade them right now, but are definitely there are talks about it.
Potential candidates. They're potential candidates.
Yeah, absolutely. And John Morant being a very, very much one now with this new news that came out today. But yeah, I'm looking at John Morant and his numbers are very similar in terms of his production. His efficiency is garbage. He is one of the most inefficient players in the league, and he is shooting what 20% nearly on 3-point
Oh,
shots. That's
yeah.
nasty. I don't want to be anywhere near that if I'm one of the teams that needs a point guard right now. So yeah, so there's the matter of shooting. Trae Young has always been known to be a shooter, even though he's not super efficient at it. Uh, I mean, he's shooting. I mean, I think above average, but he takes higher difficulty shots, of course. And so there's shooting, but then there's also defense, which is the main problem with Trae Young. That's always brought up. He cannot guard anything. And so, how does this affect Ja Morant? How does this affect his value? Are we looking at a CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert plus a pick in terms of how much better he is? Is he much better? He's a worse shooter. He's a slightly better defender. He's not a great defender, though, at
Feel
all.
like you kinda yeah, I feel like you kinda need you really need a good side by side between the 2 because, well, a part of me looks at the things that Ja Morant has been able to do, and a part of me looks at the things, Trae Young have been able to do. And, I mean, again, was it Trae Young's 3rd year taking dragging the Hawks all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals? He rode that wave for, some would say, a decent amount of time, and Ja Morant, I don't know if there's been anything even up to that level besides from yeah, have they made it to the 2nd round? The Grizzlies with Ja Morant.
No, I don't
So,
think so.
arguably, right? And this is a guy who hasn't done as much as Trae Young. And when you really think about it, if you talk about negative asset, even if you don't even look at stats, really, he is a negative asset to have on your team just off of maybe even publicity, just maybe like his general image. So it's like you look at Trae Young and you're telling me this guy has accomplished less and he kind of has like a bad image and he's maybe kind of like a bad guy chemistry wise. Like I know I posted it onto the podcast page with the loss they had earlier in the season. They're like, "What went wrong for you tonight?" And his immediate response was like, "Oh, as a coach, like it's a like negative and not just physically like on the court, but maybe just like just presence in the locker room." It's like, could it get worse than CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert? Like it genuinely could, which is like is crazy. Injury prone on top of that. Get out of here. You're looking at somebody. They're sending Bismack Biyombo for him at this point. Like that's disgusting.
Yeah.
But
So
outside of that, though, some real mocks here, not really Bismack, but I think it could potentially look at a even less value type of guys than Corey Kispert and CJ McCullough,
yeah,
maybe
it's rough. I honestly, who would you say is better between Ja and Trey right now?
Trae Young.
They've played a combined, I think, like 17 game or 27 games or something, 28 games.
Better, I think Trae Young. Who would I rather have? Trae Young. Who would probably potentially lift the floor of my team? Trae Young. I probably just want. I'd want Trae Young if we were
Okay,
looking at Trae Young.
so if you're the Grizzlies, right, and I'm the Timberwolves, and I say, hey, I'll give you TJ Shannon and Rob Dillingham. I'll give you 2 young guys and maybe something else to make the money work. Are you taking that?
I'd say if I'm Memphis,
Because is
maybe.
that better than CJ and Corey Kispert?
Well, Terrence Shannon Jr., I think we even talked about last episode. It's kind of maybe gone back, taken a step back from the
Mhm.
OKC performances. And Rob Dillingham is another one. It's kind of like, but at the same time, is it better than Kispert and CJ McCollum? I'd say maybe because those guys haven't been written off yet. Like you can't
Yeah.
say Dillingham hasn't panned out yet or Terrence Shannon Jr. hasn't panned out yet. They're still kind of in. They're kind of still in the middle of it. CJ McCollum is already kind of like at the other end of the curve, and he's like going down. I'd say it could be a better trade, but we definitely got to look and see if that works money wise or just realistically. But I think if it was built off those two, I think something could legitimately get done to send Ja Morant to Minnesota.
Yeah, do I even want him though? That's the real question.
That is a real question. I don't know if anyone really wants Ja Morant or if you should
He's
just because you can.
he's on nearly 40 million a year, you know. He's got 2 years on his contract. I don't know. It's really expensive. I mean, even if we were to make a trade for him, we'd have to give up, I don't know, Dante and Mike, and then we're not even there yet. Like we'd
Mm.
have to give up how do you pronounce his name? We're still not there.
But yeah, and
I'm throwing a lot of guys in this trade right now, and we are not there yet.
like we saw in Star Trek earlier, one of the most popular trades is Nasri, Dante, and Dillingham to get Ja Morant.
I
And
wouldn't do
that's
that.
just to make the money work. That's just to make the money work.
Yeah.
Potentially, you could do Dante, Conley, and Nasri and probably make the money work.
Mm.
But even then, it looks like he's trade restricted anyway. So I don't know how that trade was going through. I mean, you could put Jaden McDaniels in there. You could put Jaden McDaniels, and you could put. I'm just saying. You could
That's
put You
crazy.
could put Jaden McDaniels
Yes.
and you could put Dante. Again, it's nothing against it's nothing against that guy. I don't know.
Mm.
I don't think there's many I don't think there's many real avenues that you could get Ja Morant for what his real value is with his price tag. It's really a vet, expiring vet like CJ McCollum. It takes a team like literally in a perfect scenario just like that. And luckily, the Wizards had the foresight to trade for guys with big contracts, um,
Mm.
who are never going to pan out and do anything with them, so that they would have the pieces to actually trade for a big guy. Honestly, shout out to them a little bit. That was pretty smart. But as far as John Morant goes, I don't know if there's any team in the league that really should make that move. It's a really tough thing to work.
I can think of the team,
Ooh,
and I'm trying something out with them right now on Spotrac. Oh, there we go. That one passed. All right, ready?
yeah,
You're the Memphis Grizzlies.
okay.
Nah, this might be too much. I'm trying to make the money work though.
Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Let's
All
hear
right,
it.
all
Let's
right,
hear it.
all right. You're the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm offering you Bobby Portis.
Okay.
Nah, I have to have Miles Turner in there, and I just can't see the Grizzlies succeeding
Oh
without a center.
yeah,
Yeah. But it
yeah,
was gonna be Miles
yeah.
Turner, Bobby Portis, and Kevin Porter Jr. switching up the guards there. But the money's
You
really
couldn't get
hard to
Bobby.
make work.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
Like
saying. I'll tell you right now. I'm looking at
oh,
Spotrack
Kyle
right now.
Kuzma.
One of the most popular ones to get John Morant, right? You have and these are just a couple. These are just a couple. Get the idea out there, right?
Mhm.
So a really popular one for John Morant now is Drew Holiday and the Portland 2030 first round pick. So that makes the money work, and they get a first round pick out of it. I don't know how realistic that one is, but let me continue. We got John Morant to the Clippers for John
Mm.
Collins and Bogdan Bogdanovich. You have John Morant to the Nets potentially for Terrence Mann, Cameron Thomas, and Haywood Highsmith. You also have oh wow, hold on. You also have the Heat potentially trading for him and sending Andrew Wiggins and Khalil Ware, which is a crazy overpay to leave Khalil Ware, but it's
Also, Andrew
Andrew
Wiggins, underrated defender.
right. That one to me is a bit much. But listen to this. One of the top 50 most popular ones right now. John Morant for Miles Turner, Bobby Portis, and Kevin Porter Jr. So you're not
I
crazy
was
to try
I
and
was
make
gonna
that one
say
work.
I just subbed someone in for Miles Turner and it still works. And I would do it
Ooh,
Kyle
okay,
Kuzma instead of Miles Turner. So Kyle Kuzma, Bobby Portis, and Kevin Porter Jr. You're getting a point guard in KPJ to replace Ja Morant, who's been having a very good season this year. You get Bobby Portis, who's a veteran big who can play okay, and you get Kyle Kuzma, who who could rejuvenate his career in Memphis. You never know, but he's
maybe.
gonna make the money work. He's gonna make the money work. You're gonna get rid of Ja Morant, and you're gonna get KPJ and some other guys. So I don't
I'd
know. If
say if
I'm
I'm
the
the Grizzlies,
Grizzlies, I'll take that.
I'll take that. If I'm the Bucks, other way around. If I'm shopping the Ja Morant, and I go and someone comes up to me with that trade as the Bucks, I'd probably say no. Only because I'm thinking of the last time they paired Giannis with like a all-star caliber point guard. And it's like, really, do the Bucks operate the best if Giannis is just a defensive minded team? Like, is
Mm,
that really for Giannis? Is that just like the meta? Because if that was the case, then the Bucks could really spend that capital on somebody maybe a little more defensive minded. But I don't know.
yeah.
For Ja Morant, it's very tough to find fits for him. Which the fact that we're taking the time and kind of like racking our brains on this goes to show that like if you are the Grizzlies, I could see why there hasn't been a trade made. Like because it's just like to make the money work, you got to ask people ridiculous questions such as, I mean, could we get Mouse Turner off you? And it's like what? Like
Mhm.
what? No, like I'm not giving you Mouse Turner.
Okay,
But
I got an alternative then.
okay,
Same group from the Milwaukee Bucks: Kyle
yeah,
Kuzma, Bobby Portis, KPJ. Are you taking that for LaMelo Ball? Do you pair
again,
LaMelo and Giannis? Is that interesting?
to stay consistent with what I'm saying, I would say if I'm the Bucks, I'm still gonna say no. I feel like they just learned this lesson, bro. Like you can't just mesh a guy just with a guy just to be like. And would they do it realistically? I'd say maybe because really they just want to keep Giannis happy. And if you go and get Dame, Giannis
Mhm.
goes, okay, they're trying. If you go and get Ja, they're trying. If you go and get Lamelo, they are trying. I just feel like they should know better. They're
Mm,
trying. No one could sit here and say that the Milwaukee Bucks wouldn't have tried to go and get him. But I think the best move for them probably would just be not to, you know, do anything too much. I'd say right now there's two real options that I saw from this that I say that I genuinely say maybe. The Clippers can get John Morant and Gigi Jackson. The Grizzlies get John Collins, Bogdan Donovich, and Bradley Beal in return, which I think honestly just it's nothing crazy, but I mean that one makes the money work, and nobody's really letting go of anybody too valuable, in my opinion. Like it
list
balances.
that one out one more time.
Is the Clippers get John Morant and Gigi Jackson. The Grizzlies get John Collins, Bogdan Bogdanovich, Bradley Beal, which
I
I
don't
think
really
that
see too
one.
much in that package from the Clippers. I don't know. That doesn't do enough for me if I'm the Grizzlies.
Well, that's my thing. It's really one of the things you're just kind of getting the best of the worst here. Like I think all of the offers you get for John Morant are probably going to be just as like man. The only one I see right now on a Spotrac, which shout out Spotrac. I don't know what you guys can do for us, but I know what I can do for you. So, anyways, moving on. The Celtics get John Morant and Brandon Clark, and the Grizzlies acquire Jalen Brown. Now, I don't. That's not happening with the Celtics,
He
but
just got he just got put down as top 3 MVP vote, or not MVP voting, but MVP rankings by the NBA today.
which again, shout out to the last episode. A lot of redundancy in the NBA. He steps in after Jason Tatum. I don't remember when Jason Tatum was in MVP talks. So to have Jalen Brown be the number two, jump in there, be in MVP talks, respect that guy. Well, maybe JT was in. Was he in MVP talks last year? I don't remember. JT.
He's like never, I feel like,
He's never really.
because it's always the other guys
It's just
that always get
always
ahead
the
of him.
fact. Yeah, because you have guys like Peyton Pritchard who could give you 40 off the bench with like, and then you got Derek White who can explode for 40 when you and Jalen Brown go to the bench. Yeah,
Yeah.
so to have him come and do that, crazy sidebar. But yeah,
I got a trade for you.
All right.
It's a little. I brought it up, I think, recently to you, but
It could be cookish because I'm looking at a really good one right now too.
all right. You are the Utah Jazz.
Okay.
I will offer you Kristaps Porzingis and Zachary Richese for Lauri Markkanen.
Kristaps Porzingis, Zachary Richey.
Zachary
I'd
for
say, I'd
Lauri
say,
Markkanen.
I'd say I'd probably. I'd say the Jazz should get in this one. Lloyd Markkinen, not a negative asset. I think you get an actual first back for him. I
A
would go
first?
like, give me a. It doesn't have to be 2026, but I would say give me a first.
Okay. Like San Antonio first or
Yeah, like something that just so let me know that like, okay, I got a first for Lauren. But I would say that one is fair. Now listen to this Ja Morant.
yeah. Yeah.
This one again, people may say that it's garbage, but
Mhm.
I think it could work, but only because yeah, maybe. Let's see. So you're the Rockets. You're getting Ja Morant back in this. In return, I'm getting Tari Eason, Dorian Finney-Smith, Clint Capella, and Steven Adams. That's not a crazy of an ask, and you're not getting that much back if you're the Grizzlies. But I don't know.
That's a lot.
I think,
I would say
huh?
no if I'm the Rockets.
You would say no if you're the
Yeah.
the only reason I say that the Rockets may say no is only because Alperen Sengun is out right now. But if he was healthy, I think that they could easily let go of one of their centers, Steven Adams or Clint Capella. And then at that point, it's a 3-for-1 for Ja Morant. And if you're the Rockets, you're paying a little bit more for a guy who probably is not worth that. But at the same time, you're trying to think of the fact that your team needs a point guard. And you're gonna hope that this could be something that could help. Now I don't know 100% for sure if it's the best thing for him, but I mean, it's gotta be better. It's gotta be better than rotating between Amen and Reed Shepherd. Even though Reed Shepherd's playing well, I think
I would
that
I would say there are two big problems. One is
okay.
that the Rockets are a very defensive team and John Morant might muck that up a bit. Number two is that they're a really good, like one of the best rebounding teams. I think the best rebounding team. And it's like
Is
in a
all the hype, man.
historic way. Well, think about who's on the roster. Clint
Yeah.
Capella and Steven Adams, who you just mentioned. Those are
Yeah.
really good rebounders who made a career on rebounding and playing
And
defense.
yeah,
So
Amen. They have
if you give up the guy, oh, and you mentioned the two others, Tari Eason and Dorian Finney-Smith, who are good defenders. You're giving up two really good defenders and two really good rebounders for a guy who is not going to provide you with that same fit. I don't know. To me, those four guys are pretty valuable. Clint Capella may be the least valuable in that lineup, but they're all pretty valuable in my eyes to the Rockets.
that's That's fair. All right. I'd say this is like I said, it's really hard to think of ones for Ja that really work. I'd say
Mhm.
the couple ones that I've seen here towards the end now are again going back to the Bucks. Kyle Kuzma and Bobby Portis actually line up enough to get Ja Morant. So just those two. That's the one that's popping up
Which two?
for apparently Kyle Kuzma and Bobby Portis are enough to just get Ja Morant. They end up at being about 35 million. And it's and they put and they and this one has a first round in it for the Grizzlies.
I guess is it a Bucks pick?
It's a Milwaukee pick.
Okay. I mean, they'll probably end up pretty low just with the injuries with Giannis and
Yeah.
stuff. Already they're pretty low. So the pick would be a lottery pick most likely, I believe. I'm not sure where the Bucks are at right now. I'd still want KPJ if I'm the Grizzlies. I mean,
Yeah.
or even Ryan Rollins at a minimum. Like they got 2 point guards. You're gonna have a rotation of Ryan Rollins, KPJ, and Ja Morant. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's a fair take. I think the only other one that I thought not even just it just works it worked, but I thought that it looks maybe potentially good. It depends on what your values are. John Morant to the Kings, right? So the Kings would get John Morant, Gigi Jackson, DeMar DeRozan. Or sorry. The Kings get John Morant, Gigi Jackson. The Grizzlies get DeMar DeRozan, Devin Carter, Keon Ellis, and Drew Eubanks.
You see this.
What are your thoughts there?
One more time.
DeMar DeRozan, Devin Carter, Keon Ellis, Drew Eubanks to the Grizzlies. Ja Morant and Gigi Jackson to the Kings. So you would end up, if you're the Kings, you would end up with Ja Morant, Zach LaVine, your three. I guess you still have Malik Monk off the bench. I don't know who their current three is outside of DeMar DeRozan. And then they still have Keegan Murray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sabonis. So, I mean, and Sabonis. So, I mean, it's something.
I don't see how it helps the Kings too much. I know they wanted their next point guard, but Ja Morant at this point is like a worse version of De'Aaron Fox, really.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, and they just traded away. The Kings are so stupid, man. They have no idea what they're doing. I don't know what their game plan is.
Yeah.
And it's hard for them to move on because their assets aren't too valuable.
Yeah.
I found one interesting with Kobe White for Ja Morant and some other guys from the Bulls over to the Grizzlies. But
all right,
is
cool.
Kobe
I'm throwing
White...
my hat in on the Ja Morant one. So you let me know. I hope this idea is the one because that one he's cooked. He's cooked. Or Memphis.
Yeah, the Bulls, they could give up. They have some high salary guys.
Giddy. They have Giddy.
Oh, that's right. They do have Giddy. I forgot about Giddy. I just wanted the next Derrick Rose.
Bro, listen. Memphis is going to end up taking a bad trade. Like the thing is that what we're doing now, I feel like gives incredible validity to Atlanta's GM. Like you go like, why would you take that trade? And it's like, my thing is nobody values him enough to give us what we want. And I really do think, like you said at the beginning, or you asked at the beginning, were teams just not interested in him? Yes, I do think that is what happened. Like I think enough teams didn't want to give them anything for Trae Young, and they just said, what offer am I competing with? Right? Like who's willing to give you more than Corey Kispert and CJ McCullough? And they're like, it's like, I mean, the other GMs are only a phone call away, so it's like you can't really lie too much and say that like,
yeah,
well, yeah, they offer me like this person. It's like that's not even believable because I don't even want to offer you Corey Kispert. So that's why it's like one of those things where I really do think that they just had no leverage, and just like we're seeing with Memphis now, they have no leverage. They either just need to try and work it out, or you're given into a bad trade. And honestly, that should speak volumes for the rest of the guys who are stuck in limbo and similar situations too, that they may end up trading you for a bag of chips. The only person it's good for, besides from the team receiving that like player, and you could argue that it's maybe not even good for them because that player has that value for a reason. The only one it's really good for is the Trae Youngs, the LaMelo Balls, the Ja Morant, the Zion Williamsons, the Darius Garlands, because all the teams who are trading for you don't have to give up much to trade you. You get to go to a pretty good team.
Yeah.
If Wizards had to trade away all their young pieces, they would lose kind of the whole point that makes them like a maybe interesting team. A lot of these guys are going to good spots who don't have to give up much to get them. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say one more.
Okay.
Ja Morant for Kristaps and Luke Kennard.
That would be the funniest thing to happen. That would be the funniest thing to happen, though. Like for them to immediately go back and get Ja Morant, and it's just like, well, why did you even trade him? It would be too unserious for the. If Atlanta did that, it would be too unserious. It would be. I mean, I feel like it would be so unserious.
They could point guard now. They could just draft someone.
CJ McCollum is their point.
I mean,
for this year, and Ja Morant is that one.
I would find it interesting to see him play with some spacing in Jalen Johnson and Okongwu, along with not having to bear too much of the offensive responsibility, because who else on the Grizzlies is really going to be bringing the ball up as much? Who's playmaking more than Ja Morant on the Grizzlies in terms of like, who has their ball in the hands? Who's going to make something happen? Not that Ja Morant's doing it too well this season, but he's still a higher usage guy. So if we put the ball in Jalen Johnson's hands, suddenly Ja Morant can chill out. He doesn't need to worry about being that guy every possession. He has someone else to handle that for him. And I think that kind of alleviates the pressure a bit to the point where he may become more valuable than he is right now on his current roster.
Honest to God, I don't hate it. Like I am seeing the vision. Like no funny stuff. I'm seeing the vision with that a little bit. And it is true. If you get the ball out of Ja Morant's hand, somebody with like with Jalen Johnson, and you pair and if he's weak defensively, you have Nick Alexander Walker, and you also have Dyson Daniels with him, Kongwu, Jalen Johnson. You don't have to give up Zachary Ricochet.
You're gonna get a pick for next. You're gonna have your pick for next year as well. I like it because I think Ja Morant is obviously a better defender than Trae Young. Not a hugely better defender,
Yeah.
but not as much of a cone. And so I think he can make it work a little bit better. And then offensively, once again, the pressure is off of him. He has other guys that he can go to, which just I think things have also been harder without Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane is an underrated facilitator. Desmond Bane can pass the ball pretty decently, I believe.
Yeah.
And now that he's not on the team, they do have guys who can pass the ball right now, but we're talking about a team that's mostly younger guys who are still developing, right? When I think of the roster, I'm thinking of a handful of guys like Gigi Jackson and Coward and Wells, who are just younger guys who still need to develop. I don't see that as the right support for Ja Morant right now in his career. I see guys like Jalen Johnson and Nickeil Alexander-Walker as those guys. If
And I
I'm the
also think
Hawks, I'm
yeah.
turning it around. I don't know.
I think well, true. And going to the Grizzlies, right? You get Porzingis. I guess you slide. I would play him at my 5. I would move Jaren Jackson to 4. You have who is their current 3?
Mix of guys. I don't know. I
Mix
always
of
think of
guys.
just like Wells is a wing, Coward is a wing,
Yeah, those guys. I mean, those guys got to get involved as more.
Conchar
Yeah, to make this work, they got to
is a
get
wing.
involved as more ball handlers for sure. But I do think if you're the Grizzlies, trading Ja Morant and just in general, okay, so they got KCP as well. They're 2. They have Ty Jerome. You have Zach Edey. Zach Edey's been fighting some injuries though.
Yeah.
I'd say that maybe you get Porzingis in this, and then maybe you either can use Porzingis as that 5 to kind of alleviate what's happening with Edey, or you can finally maybe find a move for Jaren Jackson Jr. Because I mean, again, if you're gonna blow it up and send Ja Morant, you may want to blow it up and send him away as well. But I mean, they have some guys to move for. They have some guys to move forward with, and I don't think that they have other trades to make. So if you get Porzingis and Kennard back, I would probably say if you're the Grizzlies, you don't have to try and fight for the Pelicans or the Hawks pick. But I mean, definitely fight for a pick so that you can get something to look forward to in the future if you're the Grizzlies. But I will say that out of the ones that we have brought up, I think that's the only doable one that I would say the Grizzlies are like, it's a bad trade for us, but I'll take it because even moving Ja Morant gives our young guys room to actually develop. So it's still a positive. And without getting another guard back to get in their way, like, yeah.
Also,
I'd say that I would take them.
the Grizzlies are a lottery team right now, as it stands, right? They have their own draft pick. They can look at getting a point guard in this draft, especially if they get rid of Ja Morant. Not that he's winning them games, but you focus on development, you focus on the young guys. I even say, hey, look on moving on from Jaren Jackson Jr.,
Yeah.
or trade him for a draft pick, I don't know. Like, focus on the young guys right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams would be looking to have Jaren Jackson Jr. to play at the 4 more specifically so they can have a rebounding 5. But he's a good defender. He can shoot a little bit. I would say, I don't know. I think that a lot of times teams have a problem with committing to what they're going to do. Like, if you have Ja Morant and you have a bunch of young guys, you either have to commit to building around Ja Morant and competing, or you have to commit to rebuilding around your young guys, but you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're unless you're the Thunder. Then you can
But
have it
a
both
lot
ways.
of teams get stuck in limbo. Yeah, a lot of teams get stuck in limbo doing that.
Now the Thunder have a problem where they're not going to be able to afford to bring back some of their guys like Lou Dort because they are having everything right now. They have everything they could ever want. They have picks, they have players, they got it all. So I don't know. Same thing with the Wizards. I brought this up. They are down to 134-year-old now, so good for them. They should move Chris Middleton as quickly as possible. Get him on a contender. Just let him help out off the bench.
Yeah.
Like, he can get you some buckets. He's one of the top mid-range guys in the league. Nothing wrong with that, you know? Just something wrong with it when he's on the Wizards.
And on
So
the Bucks. Yeah. So I will say at the end of our episode, what is All the Game podcast gave you? We proposed Ja Morant be sent to Atlanta in place of Trae Young for Kristaps Porzingis and Luke Kennard. I feel like, one, is it clickbaity? A little bit. But I feel like you unpack this episode, I feel like there's a legitimate argument that is the move to make. And I think you cook with that one.
thank you. All right.
Thank you guys for tuning into another episode of It's All the Game podcast. Really appreciate you for tuning in. This one, appreciate you guys for all the interaction, the followers, the likes, the comments, on all of our social media platforms. Again, if you guys like this episode, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. And also, let us know if you agree with that Ja Morant trade. Let us know your thoughts on the Trae Young trade. I really appreciate you guys. If you feel like you have a better offer for Ja Morant, please drop that in the comment section. Really appreciate you guys. And like always, just remember,
It's all a game.